Hey, what's happening everyone? I'm SirJames coming at you guys with another video, and today I'm here to give you guys my full review on the Ultimate Works RVS and RVJ, more specifically the Darth Revan lightsaber set. Now do keep in mind that you don't get both of these hilts for one specific price. These are two separate purchases, which I'll have links to what I'm talking about and where you can find them in the video description down below. Now, as far as the set goes, I'm actually quite happy in terms of the company itself and the product in question. I wasn't too sure about, the Ultimate Works sabers, as it was the first time using them, especially with their soundboard, which is the Asteria 2.5. Though on one of these, it's actually a 2.0. It wasn't updated, but now they should all be updated, which I'm going to have to do to mine a little bit later on. But anyways, going over in terms of the product itself, I want to go ahead and just quickly touch upon how the companies are in general. Are they trustworthy? How's the shipping time? And first off, yes, they are trustworthy. As you can see, I have my products perfectly fine as advertised from their website with no issues whatsoever. Now, the top one here is something that I ordered directly from the patch store, and that one was super quick, by the way. And again, your miles may vary, but at the time when I ordered this one, when it was in stock, pretty much it shipped out 2 days after purchased and arrived within 7 days. Super fast. I was actually quite surprised with how quick I got it, especially coming all the way from Hong Kong. Now, the second one down here I ordered directly from Ultimate Works' website. That one did take 7 days to process payment until it was able to ship, and then I received it just a little bit over a week after it had shipped out. So again, not too bad, really good customer service. One noticeable difference that I will mention is that when I ordered directly from the patch store, this one actually did include a saber stand, while the other one did not. However, both did also include a nameplate with the Revan name, which I thought was really cool. I like it when they have these extra goodies. It did come with a lot of paperwork to kind of show you and demonstrate what you need to do, how to activate it, and basically to learn a little bit more about the board. So I like all the included paperwork. I felt like they did a really good job with the packaging, and especially everything that you get inside the box, charger and all. So what I want to go ahead and do is to bring you guys a closer look at the hilts, and before I go into a little bit more detail here. So we're going to start with the first one that I ended up picking up, the one with the spikes on it, where a lot of you guys were kind of curious, is that even comfortable to hold? Which we'll go over in just a moment. So giving you guys a closer look here. As you can see, we have a CoverTech wheel, but if you wanted to replace that with a D-ring option, all you need to do is get a D-ring and using the same screw. It's just a 5-second process. Now, one thing to note in terms of where you're gripping it, you'll notice that it has a curved look to it. That's curving in. That's to help provide a much more of a comfortable hold. Right here in this middle section, this bottom one here is going to be your main primary button to turn it on, and of course to activate the blade. This is going to be your secondary button, which actually has a lit up LED, which will activate in just a couple of minutes. And then over here at the very end, you got your spikes, and this is actually a blade plug already included, by the way. So you will have to remove this to insert a blade, which there is a retention screw right there on this side. And there's also one more. So this actually uses 2 of them, same for the other. Now, in terms of how does this feel in the hand, even with all this added to it, it actually feels nice. It is comfortable to hold. But I will admit that when it comes to swinging it around, it's a little bit awkward. You have to kind of get used to it and adjust. Then until you feel more comfortable, then you can probably do a lot more smoother swings. But personally for me, I haven't quite got adjusted to it. Even though I've had this the longest, it is taking quite a while for me to adjust to it. But still, regardless, having it in your hands, it is comfortable to hold. I don't feel any discomfort whatsoever. And what's nice is that the hilts are actually nice and thin. So as you can see, here's me gripping it all the way. And there's plenty to work with here. It's not a thick saber. It's definitely a lot thinner compared to some of the sabers that I've had before. Or maybe slightly thinner than Saber Forge. But very good indeed. Next, let's go ahead and bring over the other one here. Now this one is a much more of a simple design. There's really not much going to it, unlike the other one, so you may personally prefer one over the other. But what's nice about this one here, before I give you a closer look, is that because of the smooth body finish here, again, you have nothing that's going to get in your way when it comes to swinging. In fact, when it comes to swinging, I feel a lot more comfortable with this, trying to navigate and, do whatever kind of performance or moves that I want to initiate, because I don't have anything that kind of takes away from my comfort grip, if you will. One thing that you could probably add to this is maybe some additional grip if you want, because of the smooth body finish. But giving you a closer look here, you have the removable pommel, which the other one does also. Your cover tech wheel along the side here. Now here's some important details to note, is that on this one, this copper looking piece here, that is going to be your main activation right there. If you flip it on over, we'll actually have your secondary switch, which is hidden within the body, located right here. Oop. There you go, right there. Another thing to note is when we go over to this side, we have 3 retention screws. This one right here with the copper finish is one that you do not want to mess with, because it's holding your NeoPixel setup right here. That one you do not touch. However, you have 2 additional blade retention screws right here. These are the ones that you would use to tighten up your blade when one is inserted. So do keep that in mind if you do get one of these. Do not touch this one. These 2 silver ones will be the only ones that you would want to mess with. But it's pretty simple as far as that goes. Now, in terms of the initial weight, these do have a little bit of weight to it. When I first unboxed this, I thought it was quite light, but it's probably because I was a little bit more adjusted to this one with the extra weight added to it because of those spikes thrown in. But regardless, these have a little bit more of a medium weight to it. They're not super lightweight and they're not super heavy, and the medium to the point where they are still comfortable regardless. Now the other neat thing about this is that this actually does feature a removable chassis, which actually we're going to use with this one right here. Show you guys how that one works out. So in order to remove the chassis, you simply unscrew the pommel. Now I do find it difficult to remove it by hand because it's kind of hard to grip it, so I usually just end up using a tool to do it. I'm just going to loosen it up here. So in terms of your chassis, this is removable. And what's cool is because since both of these are using the same exact soundboard, I could technically remove this one that I already did and install it on here. It will work perfectly fine, vice versa. Or if I have another saber that is compatible with this chassis, let's say I got it as a pre-wired setup, that I could remove this chassis, put it into that other saber, and it'll work just fine. I believe the other one that they have that's compatible is their Fallen Order, and I think there's another one that's currently on pre-order. Giving you a closer look here in terms of the actual chassis itself. Right here is going to be your SD card, which you'll, if you need to edit or switch anything you want to remove, you basically take this, you push down on the switch to remove it, and when you put it back in, you line it, put the plate back over, and then push upwards to lock it in place. But that's basically how that one is going to be set up. Here is your top connection, which this part right here connects to the pre-wired setup already in the hilts. And then we flip this over, we're going to have our battery, which you can replace. And right here is where you are going to be recharging it, and it's the same on both sabers. Now keep in mind that if you do end up removing the chassis, you need to make sure that you insert it the correct way, because if you try to insert it without putting it the correct way, you can end up damaging something. So for example, on this one here, when you do remove it, I took notice that when it comes to the recharge port, is that this was facing like this, where the buttons are up here on the top, the battery's facing this way. So you basically put it in like so, and you don't force it in, you just kind of get in there to get to the edge and push. It should jolt in. If it doesn't quite fit, you kind of have to just wiggle it a little bit and then try to push in, and then it will work just fine. That way when you power it on,
It's time.
As you can see, we did it correctly. Alright, so I want to go ahead and take the opportunity to go ahead and light these up for you guys, since I know many of you tend to get quite impatient when it comes to this part in my videos. So a couple things to quickly mention is that yes, I know it's not completely dark right now, but I did manage to reduce the lighting quite a bit in this garage. And also too, the sounds that I have on here are specifically that were meant for Crystal Focus 10, and just to be able to show you guys that those fonts are supported on this board and with the smooth swing still enabled. Now as for the fonts I copied between both files, so they're using the same exact thing, except there was a couple that I kind of changed in terms of the effect of the blade, in terms of, you know, how quickly the blade comes out or what changes it does when you deactivate, just to show you guys some of the options that you can do when it comes to customizing these sabers. So without further ado, let's go ahead and turn these on right now. And I want to try to do my best to sync these at the same time because it's the same audio.
It's time.
So here we go. So let's go ahead and light these up in 3, 2, 1. So as you can see, we have the purple over here, the one with the spikes, and the other one using the red colorization. As you can see with the glow, the NeoPixels work out great. Now I know this is not the NeoPixel blade that was included because I'm using smaller ones here, but just to show that, you know, any kind of NeoPixel blade will work just fine. And again, you got your smooth swing. Now I'm not the best wielding both of these at the same time. I'm more of a staff type person, and this one, again, it's still a little bit awkward to swing around because of the whole spike portion a bit. It just takes a while to kind of get used to, which I haven't quite adjusted as to yet. But as you can see with the glow there, it looks great. Now other things to kind of keep in mind is that this will have all the same functions that you would expect from a custom saber. So meaning you got flash on clash. Now with the flash on clash, you could also change how the effects appear. So there's all kinds of different settings that you can mess with. You also have blade locking. For that, you have to clash the blades at the same time while also holding down the second auxiliary switch, like so. And then you press the button again to get it off the blade lock. Now if you have an effect enabled, there's also tip drag, which unfortunately I forgot to add an effect for that, but you basically were to, you know, tip it on the bottom, and then there you go. Let's go ahead and change to a different font now.
I will have my vengeance.
And light up. Now this one here, as you can see, we have a little bit of an effect going on. You have kind of like a scroll effect. I'm trying to do the best. Actually, that's kind of looking pretty cool right there for an image, the whole, you know, red and blue. I like that. I want to have to take a snapshot. Now the change colors is actually quite simple. To switch the different colors, you have to press the power button and the second switch, kind of like simultaneous. I can't even say the word. Kind of like one after the other in a quick motion. Now there's some replica of the same colors which you could easily change to add additional colors. This is kind of stuff that was on there by default. And typically on, let me turn this one off. Typically by default you have this annoying font that goes color switch. But I replaced it with something that's more from the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video game. So when I switch colors, you know, it has a much more of a manageable tone, and I quite like that sound. So, you know, yellow, this nice teal color. So let's go ahead and switch to another one.
Knighthood.
So here's a Knighthood font, which I believe was on saberfont.com. So as you guys can see here, these are very nice. Again, still got your smooth swing support. Still got your blaster effects. Switching again. Now, so once we're at this point, how do the speakers sound? The speakers actually sound very good. Are you going to get the loudest speaker possible for a custom saber with these? Probably not. But for what it is and for the price you'd pay, the speakers are actually quite nice, and I don't really have any complaints as far as audio goes. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and enable this again, because this one, if I recall, I have that different effect for the blade. So we're going to go ahead and power these on at the same time. Now you took notice that this one right here took a little bit longer to ignite, while this one here was much more quick. Now let's go ahead and deactivate, starting off with this one here. As you can see, that one was quite slow. Not perfect, but slow. And this one right here, as you can see, it deactivated right here at the source, and it basically disappeared towards the tip. Those are just some examples of what you can do using the different effect folders by dropping them in there to kind of see what you may possibly get, which I really liked how this one is. I like that setup there. Switching to another font here. So we got the Ray. And again, this one here, this one kind of has a slower speed, quicker speed, and again, a different effect going on here. Let's change color here. So this one's got all these weird color breaking. I mean, again, you could change that out, so you don't have to use that if you don't like that. It's not really my favorite effect, so I'm probably going to end up taking it out anyways. But as you can see, you got these weird effects. Deactivate. Alright, next up.
Maybe I won't go easy on you this time.
You know, how about Ezra from Star Wars Rebels? And I really like this effect on both of these, because this has like this color fade that's going on here. That's, again, still with your smooth string support. So let's go ahead and use this one for example. So this one, from the very top, it's green. Towards the bottom, it goes into an orange. As you can see, hopefully from the color reflection, we got green from my head and it's going into an orange as it reaches my jacket. This one is more of a lightish blue, whitish blue, and it's going down towards a pink. And we're going to go ahead and switch colors here. This one is going from a light blue towards a green. And I really like this one. It looks a lot better in person. Let's go ahead and switch to another one. And this one might be hard to see, but this one starts as a pink and it goes into a yellow. Now let's go ahead and switch to something more Sith-like.
Lord Vader.
No, not that Sith-like. I mean, Lord Vader is great and all, but how about something newer?
Empress Palpatine.
Oh yeah, Empress Palpatine. So check these ones out. This is a new font that I just purchased and added. That nice Sithy tone to it. Just to kind of demonstrate the audio, you know, no use. I can't really quite do that with this one because of the whole... I mean, I'm not used to swinging blades with my left hand, but again, the spike kind of takes it away from it. Alright. And we'll go back to here. Let me go ahead and switch between a couple of different ones.
Vengeance.
Let's see, one more.
Lord Vader.
Let's do this Lord Vader font. Now, the fonts after the Empress Palpatine one are some of the stuff by default that I haven't quite changed. So these are things that came with the board. So you will get like a young Rey font, and then you also get Lord Vader and one or two other ones. So this one here, as you can see, is shifting between different colors. So Again, these are just effects that you don't have to use, but it's presented into the blade itself, or into the board. Alright, so now that I've got the chance to check this out in terms of its lighting detail and that kind of demonstrate the smooth swing, let's go ahead and go back into my room and wrap it up. Alright, so now that I had the opportunity to talk about the individual hilts and to give you guys a nice little lengthy demo with them in action, what do I think in the end? Now keep in mind that as of this review, I have yet to try out every single soundboard out there for the different custom sabers, but at the current moment, as of this video, Crystal Focus 10 is still my #1 favorite, and the Asteria 2.5 soundboard that is being used for the Ultimate Work sabers is at the moment my #2 slot for sure. I really like it. It is simple to use. There's a little bit of a slight learning curve. I mean, it's very minimum. I mean, once you kind of get the hang of it, it's pretty simple to add new fonts on here, which I'll demonstrate in just a couple of minutes. But again, I really like it. Easy, simple to use, supports your music, has all the main functions that you would expect to have, and of course, not only do you have your standard effects for the blade, but you also have those crazy different combinations that you can do. And this is probably my only gripe. This is my only negative that I really have, is that for those effect folders, the files that you get to use, it's really hard to tell what kind of effect and combination you're going to get. And it's all about a trial and error thing by basically adding those effects to the different folders, putting it onto the SD card, putting it back into the saber, back and forth to see what you're going to create. I wish there was like a software that you could incorporate those in, and where the software to, you know, hopefully kind of give you an idea what the effect might look like. I think that would be quite useful. I don't know if that's really possible for this, but you know, in the end, if you're not going to be using those crazy effects and color combinations, you could just stick with the basic and just fill it in for your 12 font banks, which I think could be extended to 16 if I'm not mistaken. But in the end, I think these are great products. Easily, highly recommend for sure. Again, links to this is in the description down below. So for the most part, as far as everything goes, I am easily giving this a 9.5 out of 10 stars. The half point is just the confusing effect portion of it. But until then, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're still here watching this video, I'm going to go ahead and put one of these into the computer, and I'm going to basically show you guys how to add fonts. So if you guys are getting one yourself, you'll be able to hopefully follow along with the video. So until then, I'll see you guys on the next video. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Alright, so before I end all this video, I want to go ahead and kind of give you guys just a quick basic walkthrough in terms of being able to add a new font and how to change some of those annoying settings that I was referring to when it comes to switching colors or booting and turning off. So what I've done is the following. Typically what I like to do anytime I get a new saber kind with a new soundboard is that I like to make a particular folder that I do not touch, you know, like don't delete type folder. So if something were to ever go wrong and I need to revert back to the original, I will have that as a standby. And then typically before I start doing anything else, I like to make 2 separate folders. So if I've been adding different fonts, I like to make a current folder, and I like to have another folder where we're going to be doing all the initial upgrades, where we're going to be adding new stuff to it. And the reason why I have 2 separate folders is because if something were to go wrong or something's not right, I could revert back to the one that I had prior to that upgrade. That way I could start from fresh and figure out, okay, what exactly went wrong. So opening up the folder here, this is basically what we get. We have a total of 12 banks, background music system, color, all these configurations, stuff like this. For the most part, you're not really going to be messing with. Now this right here, this is a folder which you can go ahead unzip, and this is going to have your blade effect folder. And as I mentioned, it's a bit confusing because you have no idea what does what, and literally this is what you're given as far as information goes. And you basically could add these to different folders to kind of get different results. So it's all about trial and error. Or you don't have to use that if you don't want to, if you just want to use the basic, you know, first 2 or 3 options. Alright, so let's go ahead and go into the system here. Now, if you are turning on your saber, by default it says boot. This is going to be the boot right here. And as you can see with mine,
It's time.
I have changed mine to a Darth Revan theme, which basically just find a font that you like, retitle it boot, and basically or replace the boot one here, and that's going to be your new boot. So for example, let's say we go here to this fallen purple. Let's see, that's the crystal sound that I used for my switching the different colors. Let's see.
How come you're no longer a Jedi?
Alright, here we go. So this is a Fallen Order one. So if I wanted this one to be the boot, basically I take this and then I rename it to boot and drag it over here, and that's it. Now for the color switch, this is the color switch right here. So every time I switch to different colors, that is the sound that I'm going to hear. By default, out of the box, you have that annoying color switch. So that's what you're going to be wanting to change there if you wanted to get rid of that. And of course, you also have your power off. Usually a lot of this extra stuff here I don't really mess with because I haven't really noticed it. But it's there if you want to tweak around with. We're going to go ahead and go to bank number 9. This is where we're going to add our new Saber fonts. Because if I recall, on bank 8 should be the Empress Palpatine.
Empress Palpatine.
Alright, there we go. So which means that 9, 10, 11, 12 I have not done anything with. Now what we have here is that we have this Fallen Purple. This is a sound font from Jedi Fallen Order based off the purple crystal within the game. As we can see here, we have all these different files here, and it seems a little bit confusing, but it's basically straightforward. So for example, we go into the blaster. We're going to go ahead and remove the blaster on the current folder, copy the blaster files, and simply drag it over. In the class section, we're going to go ahead and go over here. As we can see, we have our clash. So we're going to go ahead and just remove the old one, highlight the clash area, so there's a total of 16 on this one. Paste it over. It's as simple as that. Drag. Let's go ahead and get that one. So cuts. And then our replace. And then we have our hum, which we're going to find right here, hum H1. So we're just going to go ahead and remove, add. Same thing for N, so look where the N is. That's going to be your when your blade is powered off. So we're going to look for the power off. So we have a power off 2, and there's another one right here. So basically you just remove that and go ahead and add your power off, and then we're going to head and add the power off 2. Lockup, again, just look for the lockup, add that. As for the outs, this is going to be your power on, so remove the old one. There's a total of 6 power ons here, so we're going to go ahead and simply drag it on over. It's as easy as that. Now the one thing, this is going to be where you have to kind of configure the files, which is the swing here. Now depending on your font, you may have a total of 8 of these, or you may have only 4. So for example, let's see, this one here has a total of 4. We have 4 high swings and we have 4 low swings. Now you'll notice that these are a bit labeled differently. This is what you would have to make sure you do, is that if you're adding to your existing item, what you need to do is that, for example, the high swing here, you have to rename that file. So for example, since this is the high swing, we have to title it capital SW01, and we have that lower symbol there, and then a capital H. Then we go to the next one, SW02, that lower, and then an H. And then we go to SW03, lower H, and then SW04, lower H. So that's going to be for the high files. So basically we just take that, drag it over here, replace those, and now the highs have been replaced. Which we need to get rid of actually 4 of these because we don't have a total of 8. Next up is the low option. So for here you do pretty much the same thing, except you're going to end it with an L. So for example, SW01 lower than L, then we have SW02 lower L, SW03 lower L, and then SW04 lower L, and then that is going to be complete. Oops, I renamed that one wrong. That's supposed to be 4, not 3. And you basically take that, drag it on over here, replace the files. And as you can see, we have our high and then we have our low, and that's done. And then basically once you have everything done, you can go ahead and switch out the bank switch here. This is basically going to be the font that plays when you go to that sound. So for example here,
Vengeance.
this one says Vengeance. And then over here, again, we had that Fallen Order one.
How come you're no longer a Jedi?
So we basically take this. I don't know if you have to actually name it the same way. I just been doing it because it's been a force of habit. You know, bank switch. And then we drag it over here, replace. And now when it gets to the bank number 9, this is what's going to play when you get to the font.
How come you're no longer a Jedi?
And then the corresponding audio files that we just added here. And it's as simple as that. Once you're done, you basically go to your desktop, you do a quick format of your SD card, add the new files on there, put it back into your Saber, and you are good to go. It's as simple as that. But if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video upload.